We're talking about Mount Rushmore. Everyone always talk about Mount Rushmore. Well, this was floating around today about the Mount Rushmore of World Championship Wrestling. And this is the consensus picks. I want to get Booker T's reaction to the Mount Rushmore of WCW. Here it is right now. So you have Goldberg, Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, and Sting. That is the Mount Rushmore of WCW. And that's a pretty cool drawing. I got to give the guy a shout out. His name's Michael something. But I got to give him a shout out because that's a pretty cool piece of art. But what do you think? Is that accurate? Is that the Mount Rushmore of WCW?
Probably, yeah. I mean, of WCW, it would be different if it was NWA. Back when I used to watch, TBS, NWA was on there, and then you had guys like Dusty and that era of guys. But when it comes to WCW, of course, Sting would be a guy that's front and center. I would say really because Sting was kind of like the franchise of that company for so many years. And then you got a guy like Goldberg who came in there and just totally flipped the script. You know what I mean? Just turned everything upside down. And then you got Diamond Dallas Page, who's a guy who, say what you will about Diamond Dallas Page, but his legacy is measured more than his in-ring. I'm proud. I just feel that way. And then you put me on that list. It's hard for me to actually put myself on the list. But just to give you a little feedback on it, man, I started at the bottom of that company, and I ended at the top of it. I ended the last person standing in that company as the United States champion and the world champion. And it set me up, for bigger and better things. But as far as my contributions to WCW, as far as tag team champion history, me and my brother go down as the longest, most ranked tag team in WCW. Television champion, United States champion, television champion, world heavyweight champion. I don't know too many people in that company that did more than I did. I wouldn't say other than guys like Ric Flair. I give Ric Flair his props, but I don't know too many guys that gave more than I did for WCW. Even when the people didn't know I was giving, I was working my ass off to become the guy in that locker room, the guy that that they could go to, not knowing that I would ever get that chance. I was still preparing myself, even if that chance ever was to come my way. And then to be ready for it. And I think I did pretty good as champ. A lot of people say, well, WCW was in its decline, when I became champ. I've seen postings of Booker T only became champion because of affirmative action. So I've seen a lot of
people, people.
No, but I'm serious. You know what I mean? But I take it, I hear it, but I don't pay too much attention to it. I know what I did in that company, and I know what I did for so many guys in that company to try to bring them up at the same time. So to see me on that list, man, I'm like Barry Horowitz. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for something like that. Hey, I'm gonna take it.
Well, and here's what the other thing about WCW is: people think that you won all 5 titles in WCW. Didn't you win only 4, and then you won your 5th in WWE?
Yeah, I won 4 in WCW, and then the 5th in
WWF.
I've done the World Championship in WWE as well. But
I 2 world title runs in WWF.
Yeah. My career pretty much speaks for itself. My stats pretty much speaks for themselves. And I always say, hey, man, go to the stats. Don't go to the people that's talking about who was the greatest or who was the best. Go to the stats. And you go, man, Booker T won 35 championships throughout his tenure in professional wrestling. I don't know too many guys that did that. I had a title more than the time that I was in the wrestling business. Every time you saw Booker T, just about, I would say 80% of the time I had a title around my waist, no matter whether it was tag team, no matter what it was. So that let me know that I was a player and I was a guy, that should have been put in that position. I was looking at a post from a good friend of mine just a couple of weeks ago. In the post that read, you was the MVP of WCW, and he goes, "No, my friend, I think I beg to differ. Booker T was the MVP of WCW at the end, and that was my friend Lance Storm, a guy that I've had many, many matches with, and for him to recognize me as that guy is pretty cool because your peers, they know." And most of my peers that ran with me back in the day, man, they knew what my heart was, and they knew what my head was, and they knew when we got in that middle of that square circle, man, we was going to go out there and we was going to try to create magic. All of them, and I appreciate those guys that, put me in that position to actually get where I did. I remember I'm going to the Hall of Fame at the Cauliflower Alley, and I think the Cuban Assassin, and Cuban Assassin, he could, what up? You know what I mean? Because ain't too many people giving guys like Cuban Assassin love, because that guy, man, put me and my brother over, so many times. You know what I mean? I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. So when I see guys like that, I always thank them and say, hey, man, I appreciate what you did for my career. Ricky, man, I appreciate what you, and he know what I'm talking about. Appreciate what you did for my career. And that's the stuff, that people really don't understand when they're watching it from the outside looking in. They don't really understand how serious it really is, that even getting there, it takes more than yourself. It takes a lot of people around you to actually rally around you and say, hey, man, we're going to put the rocket on this guy and send him straight to the moon. Guys like Maniac Mike Davis. I appreciate Maniac Mike Davis because, man, he said, man, you're going to do it. You're going to be I just want people to understand that, but not to rattle off too hard.
No. I hear you. You got to give props to the people who got you in the positions. And you've always been one to show love. But to go back to the Mount Rushmore, is there anybody who you think should? So you said it's hard for you to put yourself up there. So let's take you off. Let's take you off Mount Rushmore. Who goes in that fourth spot? If it's Goldberg, Sting, DDP, who else would you put in that fourth spot? Because there are some names that were left off. You said Flair a minute ago. I think Flair has got his place in WCW history. Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash.
No. See, I don't look at those guys as true WCW guys.
Okay.
Only Ric Flair, I look at him as a true WCW guy. But Nash and Hogan, them guys was coming for a check. You feel me?
They're getting big money to come over.
You get that big money, man. And look here, I don't blame them. No, the thing is, if I was them, I would have did the exact same thing, man. I would have took the money grab. I'd have took off like a rabbit up out of that company, man, out of New York City, man. It went to Atlanta, Georgia. But
here's one. What do you think of this? This is going to be controversial. What do you think on the Mount Rushmore WCW, Eric Bischoff?
No.
Why not? I mean, the 83 weeks, right? He's got to be in the conversation.
No, he's not in the conversation. Guys like that, that haven't put in time in the ring, wrestling for years, they don't deserve ever to be even mentioned in the thought of going up on a Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion on that.
I hear you.
Might want to create some kind of other Mount Rushmore for, I don't even want to, but the thing is, like I say, Eric Bischoff did a lot for me, did a lot for my career. But I always say that when business and pleasure starts, co-mingling with each other, it's going to be a problem. When Eric Bischoff, there again, he did a lot for my career, but when Eric Bischoff stopped being the president, stopped being the boss, and wanted to start being one of the boys, start wanting to be one of the talent on the show, that's when everything got clouded. Everything, judgment totally didn't come into play in certain instances because you got a lot of guys around you that you think that are your friends. So he, in essence, what I'm trying to say is Eric Bischoff shouldn't have never been in position to even be considered to being a part of a Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion.
I hear you. So then who do you put in that fourth spot? Vader was
You
He's
know,
more of an NWA WCW guy, but
yeah, he came from back, the Baby Bull White. He had been around way before WCW ever came along. Ron Simmons, I would put Ron Simmons in there. If I had to put a guy up there, and I'm not saying it because he's black or anything like that. I'm saying it because he was the first black world champion that I ever had to look up to, and Ron Simmons was a badass in WCW, no doubt. I didn't think anybody could legitimately beat up Ron Simmons in a real fight in that company if he didn't let him. That's just the way I looked at Ron Simmons. So yeah, I would look at him and say Ron Simmons definitely should be on the Mount Rushmore of the original WCW because he was there. He saw it. He did it.